go, let's go. Yeah, super excited. Here we go. Listen, where there is a will, there is a way. Where there is a will, there is a way. This is a proverb that means if someone is determined to do something, he will find a way to accomplish it. Regardless of the obstacles, and this can be used in a positive sense as when referring to a tireless worker who ultimately gets the job done. Or it can also be used in a negative sense when referring to a drug addict who will do anything to get their fix. Originally, this was published in 1640 by the poet George Herbert, and it used to read like this: "To him that will, ways are not wanting." I want to say thank you to our friend Kelly McDaniel, who submitted that quote in the hashtag Rise and Grind planner today. What a way to start the day. Let's dive in. We've got an incredible episode for you today of hashtag Rise and Grind. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? See, there's no excuse for you not pushing yourself to the next level. In order for you to create a new you must have a new mindset. When teams come together, we can create things that are greater than the sum of all of their parts. Good morning and welcome to hashtag Rise and Grind. I am your host, Glenn Lundy. I am a husband to one, a father to 8, and the creator of what is going to be the #1 most watched morning show in the world. It is 5:30 a.m. and I hope that you are ready to rise and grind. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Dude, today is Thursday. That's right. I forgot what day it is. Today is Thursday, March 4th, 2021. Can you believe it? March 4th, right? Today we March 4th. Today is Thursday, March 4th, 2021. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it will ever be Thursday, March 4th, 2021. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most of this absolutely incredible day. Fair enough? Let's make the absolute most of this absolutely incredible day. If you don't know who I am, my name is Glenn Lundy. I am the host of hashtag Rise and Grind. I am also the creator of the hashtag Rise and Grind group on Facebook, the only place on the internet where you'll get motivation, education, inspiration, and nothing else. I promise. We've got 52 moderators that make sure no nonsense goes on in the Rise and Grind group. If you're not a part of that, we would love to have you. I'm also the founder of Breakfast with Champions on Clubhouse, the opportunity for everybody to get a seat at the table. And I'm also the author of the book, The Morning 5 Simple Steps to an Extraordinary Life. And this is a free book that you can go get at themorning5.com, themorning5.com. You can go download that for free if you would like. And that's who I am in a nutshell. Husband to 1, father to 8. That's right, father to 8. Listen, we are wrapping up a series this week on hashtag Rise and Grind. We have been discussing getting a seat at the table, the importance of getting a seat at the table. How do we get a seat at the table? All of those things. We've been discussing it all week. I mean, we discussed the fact that proximity is power. The closer we can get, the stronger it will be. We also talked about the power of association. making sure that the people that you're around are ones that ultimately you can benefit and that are going to benefit you. We also talked earlier this week about how important it was for women to get a seat at the table, to have a voice, to be able to move them forward, as well as minorities, and the importance of getting a seat at the table, even still to this day. And yesterday we dove in and we really talked about how you can even build your own table. If somebody else won't give you a seat at the table, you can build your own table if you need to, if you want to. You see, listen, it's been a powerful week. An incredibly powerful week. And today we are going to close it out with a lesson from, not even arguably, with a lesson from the most famous table in all of history. That's what we're going to do today here on #RiseAndGrind. Before we go too far, though, you guys know what we got to do on this show. It's early. We got to get the body moving. We got to get the blood pumping. We got to get rocking and rolling. That's right. We got to dance, my friends. We got to dance. Let's go. Come on. I don't care where you're at. I don't care what you're doing. If you're working out, I need you to turn it up a little bit. Turn it up. If you're on that treadmill, let's gear it up. If you're out on a run, you got a little bit more. If you're lifting some weights, pick up a little bit heavier. Come on, Tanner. Put on some extra weight, buddy. An extra 10 pounds. I don't care if you're at the house. I don't care if you're in the street. I don't care where you are. Let's get this body moving, because an object in motion tends to stay in motion, and an object at rest tends to stay at rest. And we're done resting for today. It's time for us to take action. This is also the part of the show where I need you to hit that share button, or if you're on Clubhouse, I need you to hit that plus symbol. Let's get some folks up in here, because I believe if we can change the way people start their day, it'll make a massive impact in their life. I truly believe that. And sometimes all it takes to change the way somebody starts their day is for you to hit that share button. And then lastly, this is the part of the show where I say good morning to you and you say good morning to me. Whether you're watching live or you're watching on replay or you're listening to the podcast or you're checking it out on YouTube, wherever you're at, I want to connect with you. It's all about connection. So make sure you say what's up, drop me a line. I want to make sure to do that. Just like Krista Bug is in here this morning. And I see Mr. J.R. White. What's up, J.R.? How you doing? Will Ramsey. Don Sankey is in the house. Janice Mullings is up in here. Mr. Kevin Fadley. We've got Don Sankey and Wendy Reeves. Mary Lynn Wilkin is up in the house this morning. Over on Clubhouse, my man Lee Merritt is joining us today, which I'm super excited about. We've got Leroy in the house. Delano's up in here. What's up, Gary Henderson, Mr. Clubhouse? Great to see you this morning. I see Jason and Mary Lynn Wilkin. James is over there, and my man Adrian. I see Heather and Marcy and Sarah and Mando. And what's up, Giancarlo is up in the house this morning. We got Theo and Demetria and Brenda and Josh and Iris and Janie and Lewis and Lavanya. All kinds of folks over on Clubhouse with us this morning. I'm so glad you're here. You too, Tamika. That's right, Tamika. Oh, Tamika says she loves my hoodie. Thank you, Tamika. I appreciate that. Dude, check it out. As we're rocking and rolling and we're getting going this morning, I want to make sure you don't forget. A little bit later today, over on the Clubhouse app, we are going to have my man Tim Story joining us today. Also, Jay Abraham, the $21.7 billion man, is going to be with us over on Clubhouse. And tomorrow morning, the one and only Les Brown is going to be joining us over there. So make sure you get on the Clubhouse app and join us on Breakfast with Champions. You're not going to want to miss these incredible opportunities. I also want to remind you, we do have the #RiseAndGrind planner. We've got quarterly planners and annual planners. And if you are working on changing the way you start your day, you're going to need a tool to help you with that. So you're going to want to go get that. You can get that at RiseAndGrindPlanner.com. That's right, RiseAndGrindPlanner.com. Dude, it's amazing. It has a quote on the top of every page that is submitted by real-life Rise and Grind members. That's right. Our planner is made by members for members, and that's what makes it special. It's got a little spot for you to put your gratitude, for you to put your goals, for you to map out your day. Dude, you want to change mind, body, and spirit first thing in the morning? Go grab a planner at RISEANDGRINDplanner.com. With that said, let's dive in. So on Wednesday, April 1st, they say. So on Wednesday, April 1st, roughly, I don't know, 33 years after the birth of Jesus, roughly. They say it's AD 33. I don't really know how all that works. As far as time, how could it be AD if he's not dead yet? I don't know, right? But AD 33, roughly 33 years after the birth of Jesus Christ, Jesus called for a dinner. He called for a dinner, and at the time, he had 12 people with him. He had 12 people with him. This was his posse, right? This was his gang. This was his crew. These were also known as his disciples. These were the people that he was running with, right? And the ones that were ultimately helping him share a message of hope with the rest of the world, a message that still resonates to this day, 2,000 years later, a message that has been shared over 3.6 billion times in the #1 best-selling book of all time, aka the Bible. All right. So for those of you that have never heard of it, I'd love to introduce you to it. There's no better read. There's a reason there's 3.6 billion copies of this book floating around in circulation. All right. So what's crazy is he's running with these dudes, and he's like, all right, we're gonna have a dinner, right? And you're my boys. I want to spend some time with you guys. And so he sent 2 of his boys into town. He said, go into town. You're going to run into some guy and he's going to be carrying water. Ask him if we can borrow his house, because upstairs in his house, he has this really big room that'll ultimately fit all of us. And he's got a table up there. And so we're going to use the table. Just go. And, and the disciples are looking at him like, what are you talking about, bro? And he's like, just go. You're going to run into some dude. He's got some water. He's got a pail of water. He's going to be the guy. He's going to help you out. All right. Just trust me on this. We're having a party. We're having a party tonight. Trust me on this. You guys have seen me do some crazy stuff. Listen to me now, right? Listen to me now. So they go and they find this room in this big, massive place, right? And the room is huge and it's beautiful and it allows for them all to sit at the same table. It's kind of crazy. Like, this guy's just a stranger. They never even knew him, right? But he opens up his house and he lets them come in and he lets them have this dinner at the table. So here's Jesus and his 12 disciples. All right. So Jesus and his 12 disciples, they're sitting at the table and they've had some dinner and they've had a couple drinks, right? They've had some wine and they're relaxing. The Bible says as they were relaxing after dinner and wine, then Jesus figured, now's the time for me to give you guys some cold, hard truths. All right. And so he sat down in a conversation and he basically said, look, man, some things are going to go down in the next 24 to 48 hours. You're not going to understand it. It's going to be a little bit crazy. But I just want you guys to know, like, a lot of you, or actually all of you, are going to ultimately, you're going to turn on me here in the next 24 to 48 hours. And one of you specifically is going to betray me. You're all going to disown me. And one of you is going to betray me. Now, remember, like, this was his crew he was talking to, right? Like these were his boys. Like these are the guys that had seen Jesus like bring people back to life, right? Like they'd seen him do the craziest stuff ever. They'd seen him bring people back to life. They'd seen him like heal sick people. They'd seen him change lives and turn water into wine. Like they've seen all this stuff, right? Him floating, walking on water, like all kinds of crazy stuff. So they have all the crazy stories. Like I could just imagine what they're talking about at the table, right? Like we sit around at a table and we reminisce and we talk about stories and things in the past. And we're like, man, did you see that dude over at Walmart? That dude was crazy, right? Like, and sometimes we have crazy stories. I can only imagine the stories they were talking about at this table. They're like, man, did you see that thing Jesus did, bro? That was crazy, right? Like, I can only imagine. So these are his boys that have seen him, that have marched with him, that have traveled with him, that are on a mission with him, that he plucked out of their positions and he took them on this journey. These are his closest people. These are his friends. And he looks at them and he says, here's the cold hard truth. Y'all are going to turn on me and one of you is going to betray me. And so when he says this, they're all looking at him like, whatever, bro. Man, we done seen you see some crazy stuff, but ain't nothing as crazy as you thinking we're going to be turning on you. And so after Jesus tells them this, he continues with the bread and the wine, right? He breaks out the bread and he breaks out the wine. And as they discuss the future of mankind, I'm sure this is a pretty powerful conversation. But as they discuss the future of mankind, he tells them here, take this bread. This represents my body. Take this wine. This represents my blood. Let the blood wash you of your sin and let the bread fulfill you as in memory of me. So here's the thing. I shared this story with you. Maybe you've heard it before. Maybe you haven't. But here's the thing. When we look at this story in this situation, there's so much we can learn and extract from this. Now, this story is told in multiple places in the Bible. It's told in Matthew 22 through 24, I believe it is. It's also told in Luke, in Luke 21 through 25, I believe it is, right? It's told in multiple places in the Bible. It's 4 different places total, right? But here's the thing. Here's what we can learn from this story, right? Like, who was at that table? That's where I want you to start, all right? Like, who was at the table? So these 12 disciples, if you break it down, and we won't go through all of them, but, you know, a couple of them is there was this guy named Peter. And Peter was a fisherman. He had grown up, you know, with hard hands, and, you know, nowadays they call it like a sailor, right? You've heard, you know, he cusses like a sailor, right? Like this dude was a fisherman. So that gives you an idea of who Peter was, right? Like a hardworking man out there on the seas. I'm sure he wasn't the purest of all the pure, right? Then there was this guy named Judas. And Judas was known as a thief and an embezzler, and Jesus had chose him to ultimately be in his posse, right? So we got this fisherman that cusses like a sailor. We got a thief and an embezzler that's sitting at the table. And then we got this guy named Matthew. Now, Matthew was known as a tax collector, which back then in the days, the tax collectors, well, I mean, how much do you like tax collectors today? If you don't like tax collectors today, just imagine back then when the tax collectors were corrupt and they were ultimately putting people in the poorhouse. So these are just 3 of the 12 people that Jesus is hanging out with at this really prestigious dinner in this amazing house that they borrowed from some stranger, where they're breaking bread, they're breaking wine, they're talking about the future of humanity. And these are the types of people that he's sitting at the table at. So when I read that, when I think about that, what I think to myself is, it's no surprise that these guys' loyalties wavered. Like, it is not a surprise to me. I mean, they saw him do amazing and incredible things. Yes, 100%. But if you look at ultimately the character that was originally seated in these particular people that Jesus chose to surround himself with, it's really not a surprise, is it? So look, after supper, here's what it says. Here's what it says in Luke 22 through 24. It says this. It says that there was a dispute, right? A dispute arose to which the disciples were battling over who was the greatest. Like Luke 22 through 24 says it this way, and there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. So just picture this for a second, all right? You got a bunch of fishermen and tax collectors and all these people, right? They're sitting around at the table. They have some wine, so you know they're a little loosey-goosey, right? Everybody's got that liquid courage in them a little bit. And here they are sitting around thinking, golly, man, I got a seat at the table with this dude. Jesus, are you kidding me? There's only 13 of us in here. Out of all the people in the village, out of all the people in the city, out of all the people in the world, there's only 13 of us in here. And so it's me and the rest of y'all, right? And so I can just imagine this conversation that they're having, their egos and their pride coming through as they're battling over who's the greatest of them all, who's the greatest at the table. And so check this out, though. Check this out. Here's what's funny, man. This is what's cool. This is what's cool. So you got all these egos and all this liquid courage, and then Jesus basically checks all of them. Jesus just comes at him, bro. He literally checks them, and he says to them, he says, listen, the kings of Gentiles lord over them, right? He's saying basically the kings and the villages and so on and so forth, they lord over the people, the commoners, right? You got the kings on top, you got the commoners below. They lord over them. And those who exercise authority ultimately call themselves benefactors. So what he's saying is these kings, these people that think that they're better than everybody else, they believe that they're going to be the benefactors of Jesus's, or of God, right? That God is going to bless them because they rule over other people. That's what he's saying right here. The kings of Gentiles lord over them, and those who exercise authority call themselves benefactors. But then Jesus says this. He says, but you are not to be like that. You are not to be like that. Instead, the greatest of you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves. For who is greater, the one at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one at the table? And yet I am among you as one who serves. Incredible. There's dead silence in the room. There's dead silence in the room all of a sudden. Jesus just checked them all. He just checked every one of them. He said, look, man, you need to be like the youngest. What does he mean when he says you need to be like the youngest? He says you need to be a student in the room. You need to be 2 ears, 1 mouth. You need to be the smallest fish in the pond. That's the position you want to be in. And then when he says, look, I'm the greatest at the table, is basically what he said. Y'all are surrounding me, but who's washing whose feet? He checks them all. So here's the point. This is what I want to share with you from this incredible story. This incredible story that I got the blessing and the opportunity to spend some time reflecting on this morning. And I don't normally, for those of you that watch Rise and Grind, we don't do Bible story. Like I'm not, this is not typically how we go. What I do is I wake up every morning. I don't hit the snooze button. I don't grab my phone. I write down my gratitude and my goals. And then I write down the words, good morning. And I ask God to share with me how he wants to use my voice today. That's what I do. I've done it 819 times as of today. And I said, God, how do you want me to share my voice today? And he said, I need you to go to the greatest table that was ever created because somebody out there needs to hear this poignant truth. So let me give it to you right now. I'm going to wrap this all up in a bow. When it comes to getting a seat at the table, I'm going to give you 4 steps in rapid succession. I hope you've got your pen. I hope you've got your paper. Are you ready? Number 1, first, you have to choose the right room. You see, Jesus sent out a couple of the disciples. He said, there's a guy in there. He's got a bucket of water. When you meet that guy, he's got a room, and the room is a certain size. It's upstairs. It's a certain size, and it's a certain shape. And ultimately, it's going to allow us to have dinner together. See, Jesus's step one was to choose the right room. He described the room, specifically what he was looking for, so he knew where he wanted to take his people. So step one for you is you got to make sure you choose the right room, because sometimes you be trying to get a seat at the table that ain't the table you need to be sitting at. You see, you need to find a room that ultimately fits you, that fits your needs, that fits your desires, that's ultimately going to serve you and your people in the best way. You might need to be in a small room. You might need to be in a big room. You might need to be in a banquet room. You might need to be in a big old amphitheater. I don't know what your room looks like where you need to set up your table, but you need to consider that first, because everybody has a different room. The second thing that I want you to take away today is you need to be careful who you break bread with. You see, Jesus intentionally and purposefully broke bread with the tax collector, the fisherman, and the thief. You see, there was purpose and intention for that, because ultimately his mission was to save the tax collector, the fisherman, and the thief. So he chose specifically who he surrounded himself with. Now, your mission might look a little bit different. So you need to be careful. It might not behoove you to be around the tax collector, the fisherman, and the thief. You might need to get yourself in a room with a bunch of people that believe in something bigger than themselves. You might need to get yourself in a room with a bunch of people that are out there making an impact in other people's lives. You might need to get yourself in a room with people that can lift you up versus people that can take you down. I'm just saying, you need to be careful who you break bread with. Number 3 is, if you really want to stand out, while others are jockeying for position, right? Here these boys were. They were all sitting around fighting over who's the greatest, who's the biggest, who's the baddest, who's got the most money, who's the best looking, who's the coolest, right? Ego, pride. While everybody else is jockeying around for position, instead you should choose to serve. If you really want to stand out as a leader, while others jockey for position, you should choose to serve. That's number 3. And number 4, the last lesson, the last takeaway I'm going to give you right here. Number 4, Jesus said to the disciples, you need to be the youngest in the room. Here's what he meant by that. You need to be a student. You need to be a learner. You need to seek wisdom, and you need to seek to serve. There are weaker ones that want a seat at the table for pride, ego, and prowess, ultimately so that they can rule. But here's the thing about rulers. Their rule always ends. It always comes crashing down. But those that serve others last forever. If you need more videos like this, you can go to glennlundy.com. If you enjoyed this particular video, do me a huge favor, hit that share button. I would love for more people to get this message. I got it this morning and it rings through me today. I love it. But if you need more videos, you can go to glennlundy.com. If you want to hang out and talk about what we just talked about here on Rise and Grind, go meet me over on Clubhouse. We're going to do some Q&A. We're going to talk about this. It's an awesome topic. It's an awesome conversation. I'm super excited to spend my morning with you. So if you want, go meet me over there. But most importantly, please just take it to heart, man. Just take it to heart. When it comes to getting a seat at the table, let's take lessons from the greatest table that was ever set. The one that was led by your Father, Jesus Christ. You see, I believe that you are a child of God, the God of the universe, the God that made everything. And I believe that that God made you to to be the absolute best version of yourself that you can possibly be. The best version, not an average version, not a little bit above average, not a little bit below average, but absolutely the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. That's what I believe. And so the decisions you make today, to lean into that, to step into that, a decision to choose the right rooms that you hang out in, a decision to be careful with who you break bread with, a decision to stand out by serving others versus ego and pride and prowess, and a decision to be the youngest in the room. When you make those decisions, it matters. It makes an impact on your friends, on your family members, on your coworkers. Shoot, you just showing up here today has made an impact on me. And I, for one, absolutely love you for it. I do. I absolutely stinking love you. So get out there and have an incredible day today. All right? Get out there, have an incredible day. Have an impactful day. Have a powerful day. And then do me a huge favor and come back here again tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. because we're going to do this all over again on hashtag Rise and Grind. Have a good one. See ya.